All right, everyone. Welcome to our health and wealth program today with our expert, Michelle Norris, my great friend Tim, my great friend Carson as well. We love to bring this to you because we want to look at your entire, I look at your entire life as wealth. So this is another part of our live it side of the equation and things that we look at that are going to bring you more salient, kind of a better living and a better wealth span. So at any rate, I really appreciate bringing Michelle on today. Today, we're going to focus on eating the rainbow. They had to explain that to me because I thought that was the Lucky Charms, like the one you get in the Lucky Charms. But they have told me it's something different. I think Carson has something to add with that as well. But
To my
uh,
knowledge, this is the only food rainbow that I know about are Sour Patch Bunnies. So
that's outstanding. Now,
So
Tim
much to
did
learn, Carson.
exactly. Tim did challenge me, and I do have one question. And why did the rainbow go to school?
Why did
To
the
get
rainbow go to school?
a little brighter. Anyway,
Oh,
bravo,
nice.
you bet.
bravo.
With that, I'll pass it on to my good friend Tim.
You never disappoint, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, no, we were just kind of reminiscing before we got on here, and Michelle's been doing these for us since COVID, and it's interesting. That was a time when health was such a huge, it was on everybody's mind. Everyone was scared. And I just had a meeting with a business coach a couple weeks ago, and it was interesting. The first half hour of the hour and a half meeting, we talked about health. And it was a typical 1 year, 5 year, 10 year goals. And the point was, yeah, all those goals are great, but if you don't have your health, you know, it's the foundation of it all. So I'm really proud of the fact that we're offering this to our clients and our friends, and I'm proud of the fact that Michelle's stuck with us through all of these, and excited to hear about the rainbow.
For sure.
Michelle, take it
I,
away.
I think
Well, actually,
a
Carson.
Oh,
couple
Carson,
housekeeping
yeah.
things. One,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
ask questions. There's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. I believe we'll save all the answers at the end. We'll go through all of those questions. There will be slides, replay of the webinar available afterwards. Each of our teams will send out that in case somebody misses it, or in case you want to review everything. You're more than welcome to do that. It is wildly important how much everything kind of revolves around health. I think I've heard it said where you could have a gazillion problems you feel like you have in your day-to-day life, but if you don't have your health, you have one problem, and which just means that it just is supreme over all others, that if you don't have your health, everything else seems to kind of disappear, which just screams the importance of why we do these things and why we focus on it so much. So yeah, that's it for me. So we'll turn it over to you, Michelle.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, it's been crazy. I've been here, I think it's 4 or 5 years, and I so appreciate the opportunity to share something I'm so passionate about. I'm so appreciative that you guys genuinely understand the importance of health, because who truly cares if you have all the wealth in the world at the end of your life if you don't have your health, can't enjoy it, can't spend time with the people that you love, doing the things that you love. So I hope that you will take something away from today's presentation. We're going to take a little bit different approach. I talk a lot about whole, real foods, and we talk about what those are, but today we're going to get a little bit deeper into what specific whole, real foods might you need to be eating more of and why. So eating the rainbow, you can imagine, we're going to go through the different colors that are in our whole, real foods, and we're going to talk about why those are important, and then we're going to talk about how do we implement that into our everyday life. So before we do that, my proud mom self has to give you guys a little life update. So now I am a proud mom of 3. We have Oakley on your far right side of your screen. He's my 4-year-old. He is wild, just like his daddy, Remy. She's adorable. She's my middle. She's 2. And then little Miss Stevie is 3 months now. She is full of personality. She just started rolling over. She is a go with the flow, just adorable 3rd kid, and really got the memo that she's just gotta go with it. So I'm very appreciative of that. If I stumble over my words today, it's because of these kids. And
Perfect reason. Perfect reason.
and not sleeping through the night quite yet. All right, food for thought. I love that. How many colors have you eaten today? I know it's the morning, so you probably only had one meal, but your Lucky Charms, as Chris mentioned, that doesn't count. If you have any leftover Easter candy, that doesn't count. Your Skittles don't count. But think about it. What did you have for breakfast? Did you have toast and a coffee? Did you have a bagel with cream cheese and an orange juice? Did you have eggs with tomatoes and sweet potato and avocado? I don't know. Think about it. How many colors did you eat today? And then here's a little pop quiz for you. Which plate gives you more nutrients? This is a pretty easy one. Plate on the left, plate on the right.
Left.
Chris nailed it. Plate on left. So, and I think intuitively all know that, right? But if you start to notice the colors, look how bright that plate is on the right, on the left, and then look at the plate on the right, and look at, it's yellow tan colored pasta, same colored bread, and then some not so brightly colored green beans. All right, very monotone right there. And then same thing here. There's my little Remy girl. She loves her guacamole. She's eating guacamole, chicken, and oranges there. Or the Bojangles fried chicken biscuit. You can't even tell that the biscuit and the fried chicken are two different foods because they're almost the exact same color. And then if you were to have the fries on the plate, same thing. Look at that. Look at and just with our eyes, we can tell the nutrient difference there. So I want you to start thinking about when you make a plate and you sit down at the dinner table, how many colors are on that plate? It's kind of your takeaway. That's the homework from this presentation. Start to pay attention to, are there a bunch of colors on your plate, or is it a very monochromatic plate situation that you have going on? Most of us think about what we eat, but not often about the colors on our plate. Eating the rainbow, it's simple. It's a practical way to ensure we're getting a wide variety of vitamins, because with every color comes different vitamins, different minerals, different antioxidants, phytonutrients that support different processes within the body. And so we can't just be eating the same color foods all the time, or we're going to be missing out on a ton of those micronutrients that we desperately need to be a healthy human being that can live well into our 80s, 90s, hopefully maybe even above 100, and have activities of daily living that we love and appreciate. So, what to expect from today, what eating the rainbow actually means, why different colors support different functions in the body, what those functions are, simple ways to add those into your meals, and then practical tips and meal ideas that you can immediately start to impact or implement into your life. You will get the presentation, you will get the replay, as Carson mentioned, but in addition to that, we're going to give you a little challenge to do, similar to the 30-day no sugar challenge that we did at the beginning of the year. We're going to have a little Eat the Rainbow challenge, and then I'm going to send you a bunch of different recipes that will be on display at the end of this presentation. So hang with us. Different colors in fruits and vegetables represent different phytonutrients, which are basically nutrients that come from plants. They have natural plant compounds that support specific functions in the body, and the more variety of color we eat, the broader range of nutrients we give to our bodies. So for my picky eaters on the call, this is your encouragement to start to branch out. We have to start to try new foods, especially if we struggle with just eating the same food groups over and over and over again. Hopefully by the end of the presentation, I can convince you why that is important. So let's go through the rainbow. All right, start with red. Lori G. Biv, right? Red foods are rich in compounds like lycopene that support heart health, circulation, and help reduce inflammation. When we talk about inflammation, it's the root cause of about 80% of disease. So disease is rooted in inflammation, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, high cholesterol, even some links back to Alzheimer's are now rooted in inflammation of the brain. Arthritis is inflammation. So if we can always strive to reduce that inflammation in the body, we lower our risk of some of those chronic diseases that tend to be plaguing our country, our society today. For my busy folks on the call, supporting your cardiovascular health and lowering inflammation can improve your energy levels and long-term wellness. Red foods, when we're talking about red foods, you're seeing some on your screen here, but we can add berries to our yogurt or our oatmeal. Sliced tomatoes on sandwiches, or if some people down here in the South, they just put some salt on sliced tomatoes and they call it a snack. Red peppers with hummus, all great. So think about, it's so interesting that red foods contain some of these same micronutrients, right? So whether it's raspberries, whether it's watermelons, almost watermelon season. Down here in the South, we also like to put salt on our watermelon. If you've never tried that, you're missing out. Remember that salt is a really important electrolyte. So if you are eating a diet predominantly in whole, real foods, we need salt. We need that sodium to help hold on to water so that we stay hydrated. I actually have salt. I have Element, LMNT, that electrolyte in this water right here. I'm a nursing mama, so I'm really working hard on my hydration, but I'm adding salt to my water every day. That's one of the electrolytes in there. It's sodium, potassium, magnesium, and calcium in there. Okay. Orange and yellow, the vibrant foods, beta carotene, vitamin C, really important for your immune system, for your skin health. And then for my folks that stare at a screen, whether that's for work, whether that's for pleasure, if it's for pleasure, hopefully we can stare at a screen a little bit less. Your eye health is really important. My eye doctor told me one time, and I've started to implement it, and it really helps. 20, 20, 20. So for every 20 minutes, you need to spend 20 seconds looking 20 feet or more away. We don't exercise. Your eyes have muscles in them, and we don't exercise the muscles that help us with our far vision. We spend too much time looking up close. So in addition to orange and yellow foods, we're trying to exercise our far vision by just simply utilizing it more. Why these yellow foods are important, but beyond eye health, strong immunity. So think about when you're sick, or you've been around somebody that's sick, or you're traveling, or you had a short night's sleep, your immune system has now been compromised. All right, those little white blood cells that go to bat for you when you come into contact with germs, that your army is a little bit smaller. And so a way that we can build that army back up, revitalize those white blood cells, are through these orange and yellow foods. Carrots, sweet potatoes, pineapple, that's butternut squash down there, mango, oranges, clementines, similar. All right, trying to reach for some of these. Simple ways we can add these in: throw frozen mango into your smoothies, roast sweet potatoes for easy meal prep. I do this probably every other day. I'll cut up 2 sweet potatoes, I put avocado oil on it, and then I use the blend from Kinders, Kinders, Kinders. I get it at Costco, and all it is salt, pepper, garlic. So I do avocado oil, that salt, pepper, garlic, and I throw in the air fryer for like 25 minutes. And then we have a big batch of sweet potatoes that I give to my kids, that I snack on, that we can use as a complement to any meal. I throw them in my eggs as well. Sweet potatoes are also an awesome source of fiber. Most of us are pretty short on fiber. That's a great way to get it in, and I leave the skin on. That's where most of the fiber is. Costco has these rainbow carrots. I've been getting those a lot. So they're they're orange, yellow, and purple carrots. And I cut those up and now I roast them with Brussels sprouts. Same combo on top, avocado oil, and then salt, pepper, garlic. They go in the oven for 15 minutes, mush them all around, 15 minutes again. So 30 total minutes roasted in the oven. And that's the way that I like to get my carrots, and my kids will actually eat them that way. So I'm grateful for that. And then citrus on hand for a quick snack. So that would be those oranges or pineapple on hand, or mango for a quick snack on the go. If you've heard me speak before, I always try to remind people, when you leave the house in the morning, take 2 healthy snacks with you. Maybe it's a piece of fruit, like something citrusy, and then it's a protein bar or a pre-made protein shake. All right. Our society does not set us up for success when it comes to healthy snacks on the go. Green. If there's one color to prioritize, it's green. It's full of fiber. It helps you balance your hormones. It basically helps lower the estrogen in your body. So if you're estrogen dominant, broccoli is one of the foods you should absolutely be reaching for. So if you've had your hormones done and you have found out that you are estrogen dominant, you have too much estrogen, or you tend to hold weight in your middle, you most likely are estrogen dominant. Broccoli is one of the foods that we can be reaching for to help lower that estrogen. Helps naturally detox the body. And the reason that is because it's full of fiber. So it stimulates our digestive tract, making sure we're having consistent bowel movements. Bowel movements are ways that we detox the body. That's how we get toxins out of the body. We can sweat, we can do deep breathing and expel them, or we can make sure, and I should say, we should make sure we have consistent bowel movements. So what does that look like? It's 1 to 2 bowel movements a day, and it should look like a brown log. I know it's really weird to talk about, but your bowel movements are a wonderful indicator of the health of your body. If you have loose stools, or the opposite, like rabbit stool, that's indicators that if you have the rabbit side, if it's not a snake and it's like little M&Ms in there, you don't get enough fiber. So you're not eating enough of the foods on this page, and you're not hydrated enough. You need more water. The other side of the story, if your stool is very loose, then you need to reach out to me and we can explore why that is. You may be too many. One of the things I'm seeing a lot with my individual clients is too many sugar alcohols. So xylitol, erythritol, really causing some stomach issues and creating those loose stools. Anyways, sorry to talk about it, but it's really important. And I talk about it as a mom. I'm always, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Both of them are potty trained, but not quite sufficient enough to wipe their own booties yet. So I am on duty for that, but I'm paying attention to what their stools look like. And I know that if my daughter has more than just a tiny bit of dairy, she gets loose stools. And so I have to really monitor that for my son, just making sure he does pretty well with dairy, but there's other foods that he doesn't tolerate well. My daughter realized cashews too created a big problem in her stools. So I know that that's a sign from her body that her body doesn't like that. Back on track, enough about poop. Green foods are packed with chlorophyll, fiber, folate, magnesium. All right. So all of those are incredibly important, whether that's spinach, kale, green beans, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cucumber, arugula. All right. Those dark green leafy veggies, so that kale, arugula, and spinach have the most nutrients in their raw form. So you can cook them, and I would encourage you, if that's the only way you can get them in, that's the only way you can tolerate them, then cook them and eat them, that's fine. But if you want to maximize nutrients, then we eat them raw. Okay. Hormone balance, sustained energy, and then digestion and gut health, creating consistent bowel movements. We can add a handful of spinach to our smoothies. My kids, I'll show you a picture of them when we get to the end, but I make these green pancakes for them. It's banana, it's eggs, it's almond flour. No, sorry, I do oats. And then I put spinach in it. And it doesn't change the taste of nearly anything that you put in the blender when you put it in the blender. It just makes it green. So to the eyes, it might be a little bit distorting, but it doesn't taste any different, and you're getting a good amount of spinach in. So you can do a smoothie. So you can put it in those pancakes, as I make those pancakes in a blender. Choose a salad as a side with your lunch, or you can make that the main deal. Toss broccoli or greens into your dinner. We always have something green on our plate at dinner. That is a rule in our house. There's always something green. So last night I did Brussels sprouts with those carrots. The night before that, I did green beans. We try and switch it up too, because while those are all green foods contain these, they even within the green foods have a different micronutrient profile. So trying to get variety even within your green vegetables is important if you can stomach it. Blue and purple, powerful antioxidants. An antioxidant, you probably hear that word a good bit. Essentially, what it does is it goes and gets free radicals in your body. It neutralizes free radicals in your body. And free radicals in your body are basically misshaped cells. So cells that could, over time, become something scary like cancer. So if we're eating antioxidants, it's going after those cells, those misshaped cells that can wreak havoc in the long term. So we need to make sure we're prioritizing these as well. Berries, blueberries, blackberries, eggplant, purple grapes, all wonderful sources of antioxidants, really good for cognitive performance, healthy aging. We all want that. Reduce that oxidative stress. That's what I'm talking about when I say it goes and neutralizes those free radicals. So it goes and gets those misshaped cells. Brain function and memory. So if you're struggling to find your words, you have any memory issues in your family, these are foods we need to be prioritizing. Help with focus, clarity. So anybody struggling with ADD, ADHD, something to make sure that we are certainly getting into our diet. Frozen blueberries, frozen blackberries, frozen raspberries, all wonderful sources of antioxidants, and even the frozen are fine. So you can get the frozen, I get them frozen or even organic frozen berries from Costco. You can eat them just as they are, frozen. You can put them in your oatmeal. You can put them in your overnight oats. You can add them to, if you're making some sort of healthy pancake, you can throw them in there. Great way to sneak them in, add purple cabbage to salads or bowls, snack on grapes. Grapes are super sweet. So if you're having that sweet craving after a meal, have some grapes on hand, and that can help suffice that sweet craving versus reaching for Sour Patch Bunnies. All right, Carson. White and brown foods. Okay, so when we say white and brown foods, we're not talking about bread and pasta, our favorite white and brown foods, but whole, real white and brown foods. So garlic, mushrooms, cauliflower, onions, that's ginger root in the bottom right-hand corner, and then potatoes. They strengthen the immune system. So they build up those white blood cells that help go to bat for you when you come into contact with germs. They support your gut health and digestion, reduce inflammation in the body, give you that stable energy. If you guys were with us for our Power of the Fork presentation many moons ago, we talked a lot about the importance of keeping your blood sugar stable. When we have those big swings in our blood sugar, we have that big blood sugar rise, our pancreas releases insulin, insulin goes and gets the sugar, pulls it out of the body, tries to put it in your muscles if there's room, but if you haven't moved your body enough, then there's no room and it gets stored as fat. And what the longevity experts are telling us is that the more times in our life we're doing that roller coaster ride of spiking our blood sugar, the shorter our lifespan. So the idea is that we want a more stable blood sugar, and foods like this help promote that. They help keep our blood sugar more stable and prevent those big spikes. Okay, they're full of complex carbohydrates. So in that slide, we talked about the difference between complex and simple carbs. Simple carbs are the ones that create the big spike in our blood sugar. Complex carbs break down slowly and give us long lasting energy. If you are someone that struggles with that 2:30 feeling, that's, I'm tired, I'm cranky, I want a nap, I need an energy drink in the afternoon, we need to look at what we're eating for lunch. We're probably having too many simple carbohydrates or too many processed foods. We need to be reaching for foods like this. They keep your blood sugar more stable. So think about maybe if we're incorporating everything we've learned so far in the presentation, maybe it's a salad with those greens on the bottom. We could put sweet potatoes in our salad. We could do onions. We could do a ginger garlic dressing. We could do mushrooms on our salad. We could do some sort of protein. We could put berries or dried berries on our salad. We could put carrots. We could put red peppers. So that really gets the whole rainbow in one dish if we think about it. And then it gives you that long lasting energy for the rest of the day. Garlic and onions are really nutrient dense. They're antimicrobial, so they help fight any sort of cold or virus you might have. So when you are struggling with that, reach for garlic, reach for onions, mushrooms to eggs, salads, or grain bowls. If you like mushrooms, I really don't like mushrooms. I have a hard time getting them down, so I try to eat everything else on this slide and just stay away from the mushrooms. That's my justification anyways. Choose oatmeal or whole grains for steady more energy versus bread or pasta. So we're choosing different grains versus just traditional white or wheat bread. So people ask me about wheat bread. Isn't that better than white bread? And the answer is not really. Still going to create that spike in your blood sugar. Beans, lentils, those are full of fiber, help keep you full, long-lasting energy. And cauliflower, we can think about that as if I'm going to have cauliflower for dinner, that's a substitute for a green veggie. So it's full of similar nutrients. It has everything on the slide, but also has similar nutrients to the green veggies. All right, it helps with digestion. It's got a lot of fiber in it. It helps detox our body. So I do use that as a substitute for something green, but I do roast it the same as I would roast broccoli or cauliflower, avocado oil, salt, pepper, garlic, and call it a day. All right, so you might be thinking the carnivore diet. I've heard a lot about that. Every single food you said previously is essentially not allowed on the carnivore diet. So what's the deal there? What are the arguments for the carnivore diet? And this is coming from the gal whose husband has been doing the carnivore diet for almost 4 months now. He feels great. He has changed his body composition. His brain fog is gone. He's really lowered the inflammation in his body. So my personal opinion on the carnivore diet is that there is a time and a place where it can be effective. Here are the arguments for it. So plants aren't technically necessary for survival. If you are eating a low carb diet, which is the carnivore diet, because basically you're just eating meat, and the idea is that you are eating nose to tail. So what does that mean? You're not just eating chicken breasts for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're eating organ meats. You're eating various cuts of meat. You're eating fish. You're eating poultry. You're eating beef. You're eating lamb. You're getting lots of different types of meat, and you're getting different cuts of meat. So you still are getting a lot of variety. It's an incredibly low carbohydrate diet. So your vitamin C needs actually drop when your carb intake is low. That's because your immune system is functioning really well. And so you don't need as much vitamin C. And then organ meats actually contain many micronutrients that are found in plants. So for the folks doing the carnivore diet and you're just eating chicken breasts and eggs, I think you're missing a ton of important nutrients. If you're going to do the carnivore diet and you want to make sure that you are emphasizing the micronutrients that we talked about previously, we have to eat nose to tail. Another argument that they say is plants contain toxins. So you might have heard phytochemicals. That's like the plant's natural defense mechanism. A plant can't bite you, but it can have chemicals in it that can maybe, in theory, hurt you. And I do work with people that have oxalate sensitivities, lectin sensitivities, sensitive to phytates, which are all found in plants. In theory, if your body is functioning appropriately, if your immune system is in balance, you're not struggling with an autoimmune disease, you should be able to tolerate oxalates, lectins, and phytates. But for some people, they can't. Their immune system is so out of balance, they're struggling with an autoimmune disease, they're incredibly inflamed, and something like a carnivore diet temporarily can really help put things back into balance. So, and then lastly, fiber is not required for survival. My sister and I, we actually fight about this a little bit. She is really in the camp of more fiber is better. And I am not necessarily convinced that fiber is the end all be all. But what we've kind of settled on is that it really depends on your genetics and it depends on what your cholesterol looks like. So for folks that are struggling with elevated cholesterol, have heart disease in the family, maybe been diagnosed with heart disease, fiber is something that you absolutely need. And so we need to be reaching for all the plants that we talked about. For the folks that don't have elevated cholesterol, don't have a history of heart disease in their family, maybe fiber isn't all that it's cracked up to be. So I think the jury's still out there. I'm watching my husband do this. He's thriving. He's eating basically no fiber at all. He has consistent bowel movements. So I'm just wondering. I'm wondering how necessary it really is. And like how most things shake out, it probably just depends on the person. Depends on what health issues they have, depends on their genes, depends on how much they move their body, depends on their weight, depends on their hormones, which I know sometimes feels like a cop out, but the more that we study this, the more we realize bio-individual nutrition is the way. That's essentially that every body needs different nutrients and a different style of eating. The thing that they all have in common is that they're rooted in whole, real foods. I wish there was a gene out there that really just needed Sour Patch Bunnies for nutrients and survival, but I have yet to see that gene expressed in anyone. Sorry, Carson. And then as far as the carnivore diet, where I've landed is I think in a short-term basis, it can be really great for decreasing inflammation in the body. I'm not sure about the long-term use yet. So it's still being studied. People haven't really, I mean, there's certain cultures that have been eating a carnivore diet their whole life and they're doing all right, but their genetic code has kind of bred that for them, if that's a society where that's all they've had. But we'll see. We'll have to follow it a little bit. All right, so what does this look like? And these are pictures from my phone. So I just went, you know, you can search in your phone, you can type in like food and pictures of food can come up. So that's what I did. I went in my phone, I typed in food, and then I pulled a bunch of meals that I have made, and I want to share them with you. I tried to find the ones that have the most colors, and I want to send you the recipes for a lot of the things that you're going to see here. These are just examples of what a really beautiful rainbow style meal can look like. So far left side of your screen, this is a tomato avocado festive appetizer that I make at Christmas time. Boursin on cheese in the middle. The dressing has not been poured on top of this, but on top goes a balsamic glaze. It's balsamic vinegar, it's honey, it's olive oil, salt and pepper, pretty much a little apple cider vinegar, and that goes on top, and you can eat it with like Simple Mills crackers. Those tacos you see, those are the siete almond flour wrap with avocado. There's some chicken underneath there. Then it's pickled onion. There's radish. There's avocado, goat cheese. That meal at the top, this is one of our family favorites. It's spaghetti squash spaghetti. So instead of using pasta noodles, white or wheat or brown rice or anything, you're using a vegetable. So you can use zoodle, which is spiralized zucchini. You can use spiralized butternut squash, or you can use spaghetti squash, which is what I use. So that bright yellow, remember, it's really good for our immune system. Then we've got the just ground beef and onion and tomato sauce on top. I make these paleo-friendly garlic knots, so there's no grains in them. It's just tapioca flour. It's coconut flour, it's it's water, apple cider vinegar, parsley, and salt. So delicious. And then you can melt butter, or you can use avocado oil on top with garlic on top. And then there are Brussels sprouts. And then far right side of your screen is sauteed kale, sweet potato, and salmon. It's so good. Look at those bright colors. Can't you just tell that these meals are full of nutrients? They are nutrient dense. Remember, I am a mom of three. I have a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 3-month-old. And I know you guys think I'm probably crazy. I work a full-time job, but also I love to cook. And I do. I prioritize meals for our family because I know how important it is for my kids to set them up for long-term health. I tell people we just did our budget a couple months ago, and our grocery bill for there's 4 people that are eating real food in my house, and our grocery bill is $2,300 a month. We spend a ton of money on food, but we have to prioritize it because we can either spend $2,300 a month on food or half that and then spend the other half on trips to the doctor and medicine. So we choose to prioritize food so that we can set ourselves up for success down the road and stay out of the hospital, stay out of the doctor's office. Bottom left-hand corner of your screen, that is steak, that's asparagus, and eggs. I love eggs. You can tell the nutrient density difference in the 98-cent eggs versus the pasture-raised eggs. Pasture-raised eggs are going to be more of that bright yellow-orange color versus that pale yellow in the really cheap eggs, and that really is a visual difference in nutrient density. This is homemade pizza. We had this the other night, and my husband, I made a carnivore one for him. I did ground turkey and egg as the crust. For the kids and I, we had the crust. It's actually the same recipe as the garlic knots on the previous page. And I just make it into a pizza crust. And then on top goes, I either do my own sauce of just cut up cherry tomatoes and onion and garlic and roast that, or I'll use like the Rao's pasta sauce. And then I'll do like sausage or pepperoni. And then for me, I do a dairy-free cheese. And for my daughter as well. And for my son, I do a real cheese. This is a little bit of like a caviar type deal. It's corn, it's black beans, it's green onion, it's feta cheese, it's a dip you can use for a party. And this is a salad. I was really proud of this. I have a girlfriend who has a green thumb, and she has come to my house and she planted a few winter vegetables in a garden I didn't even know that I had. So we had kale. So this is kale from my garden. I can't take any credit for it. And then there's peppers, cherry tomatoes on top with homemade croutons made from, this is actually Dave's Killer Bread. So you just cut them up, you put them in the air fryer for 5 minutes, and then goat cheese on top. Cucumbers, I think, are in there too. All right, some tacos right here, bottom left-hand corner of your screen, not tacos in the shell, but just like a taco pile. So it's ground beef on the bottom with sauteed onions and peppers, guacamole, a side of broccoli and cauliflower with the homemade bun. I think I've shared that recipe with you guys in the past, but if I haven't, I'll share it again. It's almond flour, tapioca flour, eggs. It's like 6 things. You mix it up and you make what's essentially like an English muffin. Takes no time at all. These are turkey meatballs with no sauce, just because that's what I was feeling that day. Butternut squash, peppers and onions, and broccoli. This is salmon with a pecan and honey thing on top with green beans and sweet potatoes. It's a little bowl with eggs, sweet potatoes, avocado, and more of those meatballs. Meatballs are great. I bake my meatballs. So I'll do like 2 or 3 pounds of meat. Just put in a big bowl, put the meat, put eggs, put almond flour, put some Italian seasoning, and then make them into meatballs and bake them for like 25 minutes. And that's a really easy version of meal prep. So I'll do that tonight. Actually, I'll do ground beef meatballs, and that'll be our dinner for tonight and then our lunch for tomorrow. I'm not in a phase of life where I can spend 4 hours on Sunday and meal prep. So typically at night, I'll just do more, and then it's easy for lunch the next day. These are tacos here. This was my husband's plate. To be fair, I did not eat 4 of these massive tacos. But again, that siete tortilla with ground beef and then some shredded veggies, avocado on top. I hope I'm not boring you guys. Just trying to give you guys some ideas of what eating the rainbow looks like in practicality. I will tell you, I do not spend more than 45 minutes on dinner typically. Sometimes I'll have something that needs to like bake for an hour, but the prep is 15 or 20 minutes and then it has to go in the oven for a bit. But I don't have the time. And so I do, it's not dinner in 15 minutes. I do spend probably 45 minutes, but that's all I have. And we can create some really awesome things in just 45 minutes. And a lot of times it's just about getting started, and it's following a recipe, learning that recipe, becoming more comfortable even cooking in your own kitchen. A lot of us miss the cooking memo. My mom wasn't a big cook. My dad did most of the cooking. He wasn't great at it. But I've just learned, and the reason I learned is because I nannied for a little girl whose mom cooked a meal just like this every night for dinner. They fueled her like this. I saw how that turned out for her. I saw how that turned out for them in their lives. And she was a huge inspiration to me to make that a priority for my family. And so I really try to. And maybe some of you on the call have kids that are in high level sports and you're doing the Uber thing every afternoon. And I'm not there yet. We have T-ball practice once a week. And so when I get there, this is going to become different. It's going to become more disruptive. So it's going to be more crock pot meals. It's going to be more planning ahead. But I really do hope to continue to prioritize this for our family. And because I know the importance, I think we'll figure out a way. All right, so what about kids? How do we feed our kids? Here's some of my kids' meals. This is my son eating an acai bowl. This is ground beef, sweet potato, and raspberries. I think about when I pack, this is their little lunch thing. And when my son goes to preschool, he takes this container. When I am working, I leave these containers for the nanny. But I always make sure that it has a bunch of different colors in it. That's my priority. I'm not really necessarily focused on protein, carbs, and fat, getting enough of each of those. I do make sure that there's protein in there, but then I just try and make it full of colors from whole real foods. This is chicken sausage and sweet potato. This is salmon cake. This is ground beef, blueberries, and sweet potato. Here are those green pancakes I was talking about. And my kids will not eat pancakes that are the normal color. I try now because sometimes I'm out of spinach and I've tried to make them just normal pancakes, normal meaning no spinach in them. They don't want to eat them. They like them green. So that's green, that's a bacon, and there's blueberries. This is Remy eating just avocado and guacamole about a spoonful. This is Remy when she was a little bit younger, just going to town on meatballs. Look at the bright red. And then there's another meal from my son, some chicken sausage, egg, and blueberries. All right, so this is the challenge, and I'm going to leave you guys with. You guys are going to get this in the follow-up. It's going to be a PDF, and you're going to do a week. And every day, maybe you don't change anything, and you just want to see how you fall. And then the next week, you do try and emphasize getting every color every day. But you see the days of the week on the far left side, and then every day, we're trying to get something red, something orange or yellow, green, blue or purple, and then white or brown, all coming from whole, real foods, not from Sour Patch Bunnies, not from Skittles, not from Lucky Charms, from whole real foods. And remember that a whole real food does not have an ingredient list. What's in a raspberry? Just a raspberry. There's no ingredient list. All right, so that would check the box. Raspberries, strawberries, tomatoes. That would be the red, orange or yellow. And you guys will get the presentation so we can remember foods that fall into each of these categories. All right.
Perfect.
Here we go. Michelle at altitude-wellness.com. If you have personal questions, call me, text me if you want, and then go follow us on social media at Altitude Wellness 1. Okay, I'm done. What questions do we have?
Awesome. I got yellow.
Yeah, yellow and green, Chris. It looks like.
It is. I do. I hate green bananas. You told me that. So I got yellow and green. I'm checking the boxes right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good.
So listening to your recipes, it sounds like you stay away from gluten.
If I had to categorize how our family eats, I would say we are close to paleo, which would be gluten, dairy, and sugar-free. That's not 100% true, but if I had to say as close as we are, yeah, we're like Whole30-ish. We don't do a lot of gluten. I have some Ezekiel bread that I'll give the kids sometimes. My grandmother, or not my grandmother, my kids' pseudo grandmother, my godmother made cinnamon rolls, homemade cinnamon rolls. So like, I don't say that they can't eat them. I just don't do it a ton.
How do you feel about sourdough bread?
I do. I love sourdough, homemade sourdough. There's a gal at my husband's gym who makes it. And so we will get a loaf of sourdough probably every other month and we'll enjoy that. I try and get the homemade like from the farmer's market or from somebody I know who made it.
Yeah, it doesn't stay fresh very long as well. You got to eat it fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't use that. It's still got the same attributes as regular bread as far as caloric intake. Is that right?
Same caloric intake, but as far as the blood sugar spike, it's less.
Okay.
All right. Especially if you eat it in the morning, you're more insulin sensitive towards the morning. So if you want to have a piece of sourdough with your breakfast versus with your dinner, it's going to impact your body differently. So I would encourage you sourdough. As long as you're not on a major weight loss journey or trying to lower your A1C or your fasting glucose, sourdough would be a fine option. And then working towards eating it in the morning.
Awesome. So we have a question as well, which is, should we always buy organic vegetables?
Great question. When you can, I would. I understand there's a big price difference, and that's tough for our family. What we do is all berries are organic, and then anything from the Dirty Dozen. So the EWG, which is the Environmental Working Group, every year produces what they call the EWG Dirty Dozen. So every year they test all non-organic produce for pesticide residue. They then provide us a list with the top 12 fruits and vegetables that came back with the highest pesticide residue. They call it the Dirty Dozen. So on that list, typically every year are berries, so strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, spinach tends to be on that list every year. So making sure, look at that list. It changes year to year based on conditions, the amount of pesticides that they use on specific plants. So check that list. And then those are the things we should try to buy organic because of the heavy pesticide residue on the non-organic stuff.
I can read you the 2026 list if you like.
Please.
It's spinach,
Yeah.
kale, collard, and mustard greens, strawberries, grapes, nectarines, peaches, cherries, apples, blackberries, pears, potatoes, and blueberries. That's the 2026 Dirty Dozen from EWG.
Thank you, Chris.
Hmm.
So
Thank you,
that is what we should
Perplexity.
strive to, sponsored by Perplexity. We should strive to buy organic.
Mhm. So the other question though there is, what are your views on unsweetened silk or almond breeze milk where it says 30 calories?
Yeah, I actually get the unsweetened vanilla silk almond milk for my daughter who doesn't tolerate dairy. For myself, I don't tolerate dairy well. I think fine. What was the other one? The silk almond.
Yes, silk or almond milk.
Yeah, yeah, good.
Oh,
Yeah, I get their yogurt too.
I think there's another one which is coconut milk. I mean, there's a bunch of different varieties of milk now that's just particulate matter, obviously in suspension, but those are all relatively decent substitutes. Is there any
As
that's
long
not
as
good?
we're getting unsweetened.
Yeah, the unsweetened. Yeah, I noticed the sweetened has a
Yeah.
ton of calories. So you gave us the no sugar challenge. You didn't give us an end date to it, so I'm still going. So you can tell us when that is.
Great. Okay.
But,
Never.
but as you go through, I mean, I've been through Easter and I didn't eat a thing. It's just funny. I don't have a desire to eat it either. I actually kind of have flipped on it. And now that I see anything with sugar, particularly in it, I completely walk away from it. And I actually don't have an appetite for it. Now, it's not easy to get to. The first 5 to 7 days of going cold turkey were a bit tough. But once you get beyond the whatever threshold is, I tend to find it's very easy to do. It actually supports itself. I'll leave it at
I
that.
love that. I love it. My husband says the same thing about doing the carnivore diet because there's obviously no room for any added sugar on that. And he's like, I don't even have an appetite for it. I don't crave it. I don't miss it.
Mhm.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah, yeah. Good for you, sourdough. That's all so is there anything else that you say that is on top of mind when it comes to eating the rainbow? I mean, because I've got some one-liners. I've got another 5 or 10 minutes of one-liners I can do on it as well. But I figured instead I'd spare Tim and Drew, as I've got some fun ones that I thought were quite funny. However, is there anything else when it comes to eating the rainbow? Like what is an easy suggestion? Like when we go to the store, you gave us a nice checklist, which is cool. It's like Siete Brands, Boulder, there's a bunch of things that you gave us for names. There's really no names on produce other than the produce itself. Is there any stores like maybe in the Midwest it's different than South and up north and like down in Florida? But is there anything? Obviously, organic is the key. What other simple tips can we all remember? Maybe three
So,
simple tips we can remember.
we do all of our $2,300 worth of grocery shopping at Costco or Aldi. I'm pretty sure there's a Costco or Aldi everywhere. So I would encourage you when we're, my 4-year-old son had 3 turkey burgers and a piece of bacon for dinner 2 nights ago. 3 turkey burgers. I'm like, how am I going to afford to feed this child and this husband doing carnivore? No bun, just the burger, but still 3 turkey burgers and he's 4. So yeah, we have to go to Costco or we just wouldn't be able to afford anything. Other places you can find it, like Aldi does a decent job. Their produce is kind of suspect. I don't love Whole Foods because it's overpriced. It really is overpriced. If you have a local farmers market, check that out. Down here we have Publix or Harris Teeter. They're okay. Thrive Market is a great place, Chris. You talked about a couple of those healthy brands. If you're looking for that, it's kind of outside of this presentation, but still applicable to healthy eating. Thrive Market is basically an online Costco with only healthy brands. So you can check that out. You get a year-long membership and then they ship directly to you.
The only trouble is when I go to Costco, I didn't really know that I needed 50 pounds of raisins, but it seemed like such a good deal. I walk
Yeah.
away with them, so it's
Hmm.
my trouble.
You need a 4-year-old at the house.
I know that's
You
the
do.
second thing. Yeah. As there's just too, like I've got friends now who, when we go out to eat, we'll split meals. So it's so much less food. So Costco for us has a huge amount of food, but unless it's olive
Uh,
oil, which by the way, now I use and drink, which is pretty funny. Because I'm
Sweet.
supposed to take it, it's a big part of what I'm doing as well.
I
Um,
love that.
Here somebody said, where do nuts fit in here? What color
Yeah.
does that, are those fit
Uh,
white and
that,
brown?
that- yeah, white and brown nuts are fantastic. Lots of sources of healthy fat, antioxidants. Some of them even have some protein in them. So it would be walnuts, pecans, almonds, pistachios. Peanuts are actually a bean. They're technically a legume, but if you're buying just raw peanuts, that's fine. And try and buy the raw. So it's not necessarily the salt that's the problem. It's the oil they use to get the salt to stick. So it's that canola oil. So even those seed oils that we're hearing more about now, that becomes the problem in nuts, not the nut itself, not the salt.
I got raw pumpkin seeds organic the other day and I didn't really realize they
Yeah.
had nothing on them. Man, they were not good. Now, I
They're
say that they were just anyway. We put them in salad, so now we've used them in a way because they're really good for you. But I'm realizing,
they are.
man, those
Mhm.
aren't really good if they're not roasted. Somehow, it was just to me, it was really funny. I wasn't ready for it. And I take a
Uh-huh.
whole handful, I'm like, hmm.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
now I'm used to it. I know they're good for me, so I'll eat them. I know that's a big
They help raise your testosterone, gentlemen.
good. Well, yeah, get some more pumpkin seeds, I guess. Well, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
Avocado oil and some Kinder's mix, right?
That's right. Yeah, that
love
was
that.
Tim's
Yeah.
takeaway. That'll make anything taste good. That's what we did on wings last night. So I bought 3 pounds of wings from Costco, and then there was the drums and the wings, and we just put them on a piece of parchment paper and covered them in avocado oil and Kinder's salt, pepper, garlic. It's called the blend. You roast them 25 minutes, flip them 25 minutes, and it was the best wings I've ever had.
That's
Hmm.
awesome. So one thing I noticed too, there's a restaurant down the street from us. It's close. It's not always the best food on the menu. So what I've done is I've actually changed the menu. So I say, could I have a cut up chicken breast with mild hot sauce on it, and also then a side of broccoli with some dark lettuce. And it's funny now I go in there and they know exactly what I want, but that's what I have instead of what was on the menu because the menu
Love
didn't
it.
really have anything that was good. So now I've done. But I said, don't be afraid to go to a restaurant and even change what they have or ask, could I have this instead? Is that reasonable too?
Yeah, be annoying.
I do. I don't
It's
mind
it's
it.
your health. It's your health.
As Tim would
Yeah.
say, Tim is laughing because he's like, "Oh, Chris has no problem with."
Don't give him a green. Don't let that. Yeah, no green lights on being annoying for Chris,
Be
please.
that person.
But I gotta ask you a question. Do you know why Tim loves rainbows? Because it's
Why?
diversification across the spectrum.
Oh,
See, Tim, there you go. I got that. I fit that in there, and it was investment. No, I'm just messing with.
Thank you.
Thank you tremendously. Well, we love too, and I don't know if you guys all know this too, but Michelle will be speaking at our national convention as well, coming up here in about what is it, maybe a month. So we
a
really want to
month?
speak to her. Yeah, we want to. She's really, and I've been talking to quite a few other chairman's advisors, so you might see more people on here as well because what she's doing is so it's existential. When you go to a store, I think differently now. When I walk in, when I see food, I think of it as fuel. And it's a huge part of how we've operated. Plus, the things you talked about with microplastics and all the different topics that come up. You're just a tremendous resource for us. So I just want to make sure that
Mm,
you understand our
thanks.
gratitude and appreciation is there from all three teams and teams outside of it because I've got others I've sent some of the presentations to. They go, "Oh, this is great." So we just appreciate you, what you're doing, the dedication you have to us, especially even during your maternity leave where you didn't really leave us. You just kind of you still answered questions like, "Aren't you on maternity leave? Aren't you?" So I think that was cool. We have
You're
one
just,
more. In
yep.
restaurants, are the cooking oils usually healthy or not?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
I wish they were. I wish they were, but typically not. So that's why I tell people eat the majority of the food from your own kitchen.
Okay. I
Yeah.
appreciate that as well. Yeah, I appreciate that. Unless you're eating it kava or sweet green or no, I'm just joking.
Mhm.
Actually,
I
that'd be
have
a good
one
one.
other
If you do go, sorry, go ahead, Tim.
I have one other question that's just something that I've heard a long time ago um, about the vegetables and fruits that we're eating based on the soil and how it's
Mhm.
turned over, and
Mhm.
it's mass produced and where
Mhm.
maybe our fruits and this was somebody that was trying to push supplements, right? That we don't get all the nutrients that we used to from our
Mhm.
fruits and
Mhm.
vegetables. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, I buy it. So think about 100 years ago, we were doing crop rotation. So, like, you had a big field, you only would
Hmm.
grow something in one quarter of the field that season, and then you would harvest that. And then during that season, the other three-fourths of the field would sit empty because every time you grow something in soil, it strips the soil of its nutrients. So farmers knew that to make sure that the soil is as nutrient dense as possible, we have to let it sit and get more nutrients back in the soil.
Hmm.
We don't do that anymore because money, essentially. So we have genetically modified some of our foods. We've come up with creative ways to be able to use the entire field year after year after year, so we're stripping the soil of nutrients again and again and again. So if you eat broccoli today compared to the broccoli your grandmother ate 100 years ago, there's a measurable nutrient difference because the soil is the plant's source of fuel. You might have heard me say you are what you know the saying, you are what you eat, but you really are what you eat eats. And it's the same with animals. If an animal is getting its natural diet, access to exercise, sunlight, not full of antibiotics, not made as fat as possible, as quickly as possible, that's a totally different cut of meat than the animal that is allowed to graze in a pasture and access to sunlight, exercise, etc., natural diet of grass. Plants are the same. If you're growing a plant in soil that is completely stripped of nutrients, that plant is going to have less nutrients versus if you were growing a plant in really nutrient rich soil, it's going to have more nutrients. So I think that's where supplements can bridge the gap. I'm not a supplement saleswoman. I don't get any money from supplements, but I
Hmm.
do genuinely believe that's true. And that's why I personally take supplements.
Yeah. Thank you as well. I think the key that we
Yeah.
felt like we have a garden that we've been working on for about 4 years. It's all organic and it's got organic soil issues, all sorts of great, incredible things we believe. The thing is trying to measure that density is always tough. Oh, I'm eating this broccoli that we grew. Is it really better than what somebody else grew somewhere else? My grandpa used to grow tomatoes in Iowa. The soil in Iowa is dark black, wildly nutrient rich because we scraped it all off of Wisconsin during the glacial melt and it all dropped in Iowa. So thank you, Wisconsin, for that. But it is true, the tomatoes that he would grow had this incredible nutrient density and taste. You can literally taste it. Whereas the
Mm-hmm.
ones you grow here, we really have to supplement sometimes unless we're putting in incredible soil here in
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin. So it's just interesting to see exactly what you said. Also, is it true when they pick fruits like down in the South, closer to being ripe and ready to eat versus picking them early to send north 3 days? Is there a different nutrient density in those?
Yes, because the second you pick it, it's dead.
Okay.
And the more dead it is by the time it makes it to your plate, it loses nutrients for every day that it's off the nutrient source.
Okay. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. Hmm.
So find a farmer's market near you.
Yeah, without a
Yeah.
doubt. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. That's a great point.
Mhm.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you tremendously. I think
Yeah.
that's all of our questions we have for today, but we really appreciate, again, you're bringing quality to our lives, and that's a super important piece. I don't think we always express that, but if I can just live healthy, that's great. But if I can live with more vitality and flourish, this is a part of it. Wealth is not just money, it's everything that's outside of it as well. So this is a huge part of us and how we experience life. And we appreciate you bringing us a brighter future. I mean, more importantly, brighter because of color, but brighter because of nutrient density and food. I mean, and just yourself and your personality. So thank you for bringing that to us. We really
You're
do.
welcome, Chris. Thank you guys so
There's
much.
one more question that popped up here. If it's a good one, I'll read it. If not, we won't. Oh, quick note on Whole Foods. Mm, they have deals if you're a Prime member. So somebody said they shop at Aldi a lot. Is wild salmon really that much better than farm-raised salmon?
Hmm.
Okay, yep.
Yep.
Is bread and wheat now different than wheat and bread of prior years?
Yes. We've genetically modified the wheat, Roundup ready wheat, so it can be sprayed with glyphosate, very toxic pesticide.
Tim and I noticed when we were in both Italy and Greece that the bread that you eat there that everybody eats doesn't seem to make people bloated or different. Is the true ancient
Hmm.
grains you'll have in those countries different than what we have here?
Hmm. Yeah, because it's not sprayed with glyphosate and it's not genetically modified.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just something I noticed. Italians eat bread every day and they're not. They tend to be pretty healthy. Anyway,
Yeah.
I noticed that for
Smoke
us. Thank you.
cigarettes.
There's no shelf life on the bread in the little stand. Yeah.
That's true. Mhm.
No, but then once again, I totally appreciate you, Tim. Any last words?
Yeah, no. Michelle, we'll see you in a month.
Yeah,
Looking
can't wait,
forward
you
to it.
guys. Yeah, I
Thank
can't
you
wait.
so much.
Thank
Good
you.
You're
stuff.
welcome.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.